Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel for this Monday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. I hope you all had a super amazing weekend, and I just want to talk about something that happened today that I experienced. It is a positive experience. This is going to be a really positive chat video just to kind of tell you what happened today. So I went out with my friend earlier and we had a really great time, did a little bit of shopping, had a little bit of lunch and had a good chat and put the world to rights, as I always do with my best friend. And after we parted ways, because she needed to get home and I needed to get home myself, and so I decided to get a taxi home because I was a little bit too tired and overwhelmed to get the bus because of the heat. In the UK we've had a really long heat wave here, and I didn't really fancy waiting in the bright sunshine and heat to get the bus, so I decided to get a taxi. And thank God I did, actually, because the guy who took me home, and at first I didn't know his name until we kind of got halfway home, and I was talking to this taxi driver and he was mentioning to me about how he's been working with people with disabilities and how he sees them as special and gifted, and how he sees them as intelligent and really good, knowledgeable people, and that he's learned a lot of knowledge that he wouldn't have known otherwise. And he was saying about how much different knowledge he's learned and different questions he's learned and different facts about countries and people and languages, and it really intrigued me to kind of open my eyes to the discussion more. I was like, okay, and I was listening and I was like, oh, okay, so tell me more about like your disability background. He's like, oh, us taxi drivers, we have to be trained on certain disabilities and certain people and certain conditions. I was like, cool, okay. And yeah, so I thought that I would interject my own opinion. So I decided to talk about my autism and my journey being a late diagnosed autistic adult. And he looked at me and was like, what? And I was like, yeah, a lot of people wouldn't have known that I'm disabled, right? And he was like, right. And he was like, that's not a bad thing, is it? I was like, well, yes and no in part. And I let him know why. And he was like, so he goes, well, how does your autism affect you? I said, well, I'm sensitive to noise, crowds, etc. And I struggle to sometimes be appropriately social. And he looked at me, he was like, what do you mean appropriately social? And I was like, well, I struggle sometimes to get my words out, I struggle to communicate effectively, sometimes I can get myself into a bit of trouble. And then I learned at this point that his name was Sam. So shout out to Sam if you're watching this. Fantastic taxi driver. I really can't wait to see you again. If I end up getting a taxi ride with you again, absolute awesome dude, very knowledgeable, very polite, awesome guy. Enjoyed our 20 minutes cab ride journey, loved it. Thank you very much for taking time to speak with me today. I really did appreciate your thoughts, opinions, and your respectful attitude towards people with disabilities, not just myself, but in general perspective. And as we were chatting in the taxi ride home, he was saying that he couldn't believe like how intelligent I was, how functional I was, and that I seemed to know a lot about the specialist topic at hand that we were discussing. And it made me feel really respected and valued, because he actually took the time to see me as me. He didn't see me as the label, and he didn't see me as the issue or the condition. Or he's like, do you know what? He goes, to be honest, Gemma, he was like, I would have known if you wouldn't have mentioned it. He goes, it's lucky that I was just talking to you about disability and we got talking, and he made me feel really safe and respected and understood and valued, and he really made me feel that I was the important person. And he's like, if you ever get a taxi cab again and you don't feel safe with the other drivers, he goes, come and ask for me, come and find me. I said, well, what's your name? And he goes, my name is Sam. And he talked to me about his children, and his children's friends have people with disabilities. I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, never be afraid to ask me. He goes, if you ever want a taxi ride again, just ask for Sam. I was like, cool. And he really made me feel like he knew about disability. He had some form of background in it. He had some form of knowledge. He wasn't judgmental or rude or discriminatory. Like, he really seemed to understand what I was trying to say and advocate for myself. And it really made me feel like we've come a little step forward just for once. Like, we've come just a little step forward to be understood and respected and valued as human beings, and not just the label that hangs around our head all the time. And the fact that he actually understood what I was trying to say and actually really made me feel like I was the important person in the scenario. and it really made me feel like I didn't have to doubt myself or put my guard up or thought, oh, should I mention it? Should I not? And I know a lot of the time people with disabilities don't often mention if they're getting in a cab ride or a taxi ride. They don't often tell the taxi driver that they are disabled or need help. And I think to have a taxi driver today actually listened and respected it and understood it and actually made a difference to my life for that 20 minutes. He actually made me feel really special, and I gave him a bit of an extra tip as a way to say thank you for the gratitude and the discussion, because he actually he asked suitable questions and he was respectful. He said, you know what? He goes, I wouldn't have even known you're autistic. He goes, you're very polite, you're very intelligent, you're very kind. He goes, you're not being rude to me. He goes, I've really enjoyed meeting you and getting to know you a little bit. And I was like, cool. I really respect your opinion. I really respect that he was able to be so kind to me and compassionate and empathetic. And he made me feel that I was the most special woman in that taxi ride. And I hope that all taxi drivers take this to note. Please, if you ever get into discussion with someone with a disability, take the time to get to know them. Take the time to question them. Take the time to get to having a passionate discussion, because you guys don't know how much that actually means to us, to be treated with respect and valued and listened to and respected and made to feel like our disability isn't an issue for you, or that it's a problem for you, or or that we're awkward, because again that was brought up, like some people with disabilities are awkward, or he's had awkward discussions with people, and he did briefly mention that. I think for a taxi driver to be that open and that considerate and that brave with me really meant the world to me, that he actually really wanted to share his thoughts and views with me. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video about my positive encounter with a taxi driver, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.